from the program before it was too late. They didn't listen. 5 days before the college students were stabbed to death in their beds, WSU held a mandatory discrimination training session for Kohberger's entire doctoral cohort because of him, because of the complaints that have been piling up since the day he arrived on campus. And now, more than 3 years later, the families of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xander Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin have filed a 126-page lawsuit against Washington State University. The allegations inside that complaint aren't just damning, they're enraging. Because this wasn't a case of warning signs being missed. According to the lawsuit, those warning signs were documented, reported, tracked on a literal tally board, and systematically ignored by an institution more concerned with liability than safety. Where have we seen this before? Passing the trash around from place to place. Between August and November 2022, a span of just 3 months, at least 13 formal complaints about Brian Kohberger were filed in WSU's Office of Compliance and Civil Rights. 13 separate complaints from faculty members, staff, and students, all of them describing the same patterns: stalking, harassment, discriminatory comments, predatory behavior towards women. And here's a detail that should make you want to put a fist.
All right, ladies and gent, we're doing a little bit of back logging here. We already covered the Kohberger case, but this information was not out back then. This is all new information that there was 13 reports before the murders of the 4 people in the Idaho 4 case, that people were reporting him for stalking and other things. So that's pretty interesting. And I got a hunch that he's killed before, or robberies or stuff like that before. So you guys make your own decision. I'm pretty much set on my decision of him. I think he is the guy they were looking for in another state where there was a missing body. I believe that was a woman's body. I think he's that 10-speed rider or the guy that was jogging or whatever they were looking for in another state. So I think that possibly was him. They caught on camera where they found a dead body, but the only one around there was this guy riding a 10-speed or jogging or something like that. He was dressed up. And I can't remember. I have to go back. The Idaho 4 case is kind of old. But this is all new information coming out that he had 13 reports already that were given to the college. People complaining. So let's listen to a little bit more.
Through a wall, if that's what you do. Even if it doesn't, even if that's not what you do, this may make you want to do that. The lawsuit alleges that the employee responsible for acting on those complaints later told investigators that she had neither met nor spoken with Kohberger, not once. 13 complaints landed on someone's desk, and that person never even had a conversation, allegedly, with the man who those complaints were about. The family's attorneys put it plainly in filing. There was no indication that WSU acted on those formal complaints or that it acted in an urgent and decisive manner. Commensurate with the imminent and serious threat that Kohberger posed. No indication, zero. The system existed, the reports were filed, and nothing happened. So what do you do when the institution that's supposed to protect them fails? They protect each other. And the picture this lawsuit paints is of an entire academic department building informal survival systems to navigate life around one man. We're going to get into all of this. Give me your thoughts in the comment section on YouTube or on our Substack, which you can now join for absolutely free for a limited time. The link is in the description. It's on the bottom of the screen if you're watching us on YouTube right now. hiddenkillers.substack.com. Join us there. Comment directly with me. And if you want to have a conversation directly with me, that's the place to do it, is on our Substack. So please do check that out right now. Or YouTube. Like I said, you can comment there. Search Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. All right, a tally board kept in a student office to track Kohberger's discriminatory comments and late arrivals. This wasn't gossip. This wasn't whisper networks. This was a written record that students maintained because they knew the official channels weren't working. One WSU employee told a colleague to email her with the subject line 911 if she ever needed immediate help during her interactions with Kohberger. I mean, think about that for a second. They created their own emergency alert system because they couldn't trust the university to respond. This happens far too often. Fortunately, it doesn't always end in this sort of catastrophe. But so often people are left on their own when something else, when the safeguards, the bumpers fail. And he goes, hey, the bumpers aren't working. Nah, they haven't worked for a long. It's fine. It's going good. It's fine. Female staff member.
Wow. Sounds like they had trouble out there with them before even the murders. You know, a lot of people say, you know, his parents tried to get him friends and would ask people to hang out with him. He didn't have many friends. And I imagine because he was just so creepy. I mean, I bet you he was into some sick stuff. Right? The whole experiment that he did on Reddit or whatever it was, where he was asking people that have committed murders to call him, right? He wanted to talk to these people, and he wanted to know what it felt like to take other people's lives. So he was doing some experiment, telling people to call him or contact him so they can talk about their experiences with murdering people and stuff. So that's pretty freaky, you know. To me, it is, you know. And then it wasn't long before he gets to Idaho, and there's already people 13, 14 times they reported him to the school for stalking and doing other crazy stuff. Numerous women. That's pretty interesting. All right, let's keep going and watching this Mr. Bruschi.
Started requesting security escorts to their cars after work because Kohberger was following people. Sometimes professors walked them out. Sometimes WSU police did. Either way, women on that campus had restructured their daily routines around avoiding one man. And allegedly the system said, nah. One undergraduate student fled into a bathroom to hide from Kohberger because she felt uncomfortable with what she described as his scary behavior. She hid in a bathroom on a college campus in 2022. Graduate students developed what I can only call a door strategy. Some kept their office doors shut to keep Kohberger out. Others deliberately left their doors open, not for ventilation, but as refuge, so that if someone felt threatened, they had somewhere to run from Kohberger. This is what...
Are you kidding me? They had rooms and stuff set up for it. I mean, this seems like it would be a problem. Why wasn't it looked into? I don't know. I have no idea. But the signs were there years before he even committed the murders. How did they overlook it themselves when they're supposed to be in criminology, and all this other stuff? I mean, what do you do when you got a weirdo within the whole system, right? You go to the professor and you say, "Hey, yeah, one of your students that you're teaching, he hasn't been here too long, and we already got 13 calls from family members that he's stalking girls." Come on.
What institutional failure looks like in practice. The people inside the institution start building their own protocols because the official ones have already failed them. The complaint lays out specific incidents that go well beyond uncomfortable or awkward and land squarely in predatory territory. Kohberger would walk into an office where several female grad students worked and physically block the doorway, just stand there. A faculty member told investigators she would hear women inside say, "I really need to get out of here," and she would intercede, walk into the office herself just to give the student an opportunity to leave. Her maternal instinct, she said, wouldn't let her leave a female student alone with him. Early in the fall semester, Kohberger verbally attacked a female student in class so severely that she fled the room in tears, allegedly. She left her belongings behind, just got up and ran. He developed what one professor described as a keen interest in her 19-year-old undergraduate assistant. He watched her constantly, stood at her desk, stood directly behind her, looking over her shoulder while she worked. One student later discovered that Kohberger had photos of her and other female classmates saved on his cell phone, allegedly. A male student described being verbally kidnapped, his words, in a 3-hour parking lot conversation during which Kohberger bragged that he could pick up any woman he wanted in bars and clubs. At a party, Kohberger made direct eye contact with a woman and made a beeline straight towards her. A friend had to physically get up and intercept him because the woman was visibly uncomfortable. A bookstore employee on campus started acting as a buffer between Kohberger and his female coworker. Every time Kohberger came in, the guy would tell him she was on the phone, just so she wouldn't have to interact with him. We're going to learn a lot in the discovery in this case, unless the school just quickly settles and tells everybody to shut up. But we're going to learn a lot if this continues on, because the trial didn't take place.
Well, that's pretty crazy. Wow, how come he got so many chances is my question. Yo, what's up, Valdez? What's going on, Valdez? How come he got so many chances is my question. I mean, we all heard of the second, what is it, the second chance thing that's going around or whatever. That was a big Biden thing or whatever. But this was 13, maybe more than that, because Mr. Brutsky's saying that it's possible we'll find out more. We didn't know this. I mean, we know he looked creepy. We knew he had all the signs of looking like other people that they were looking for. But we were all like, wow, no. I mean, this is way out here on the East Coast. But then we found out, well, he lived in Pennsylvania or something like that, or Massachusetts or whatever. So then everyone was like, wow, maybe. So, are the signs there that it's possible he did do other crimes before Idaho 4? I'm saying probably, if they've already had 13 calls, and he wasn't there that long. That's kind of crazy if you ask me. But who am I? You know, I don't know. My headphones are messing up. All right, let's watch a little bit more of this. No, it's not Ernie Shell. Valdez says, "Is that Ernie Shell?" No, it's not Ernie Shell. Not in the Idaho 4.
I hear a lot of things that we otherwise did not know about the lead up, about the behavior that was ignored. He didn't operate in a vacuum. This wasn't suddenly one day, I'm going to go kill people. There were signs. There were lots of them. And a lot of people wanting to pretend. And I don't know that it's criminal, but a lot of people wanting to pretend and look the other way that this isn't going on. He's just an odd duck. He's just eccentric. He's just this. He's just that. We tell ourselves these things so often. I don't think it's necessarily always because, we want other people to get hurt, but because it's a survival mechanism. I'm not making an excuse for the school. They certainly, in my opinion, should have done more. If you're trying to understand the thinking of human beings in these sort of situations, most of us have not faced a quadruple homicide by any strange person in our life that we went, oh, well, they were kind of weird. Now they killed 4 people. That's a big outlier, way out there.
Oh, I agree with Brutsky. And here's the thing. Are we getting all of the truth? Meaning, did he commit more crimes or possibly murders, but they didn't want us to figure out or know, well, this guy's been killing for a while. Or he might have been raping for a while, right? And they didn't want us to know that. This guy was right underneath their nose. I don't know. It's just a theory of mine. You don't just wake up and kill 4 people brutally like that if you haven't somewhat been around it. I mean, you just don't wake up and do that usually, right? Wake up and then I'm going to kill these 4 people and go do it. I don't know. And then to remain so calm or whatever. I mean, this is a guy that might have killed animals, like we said in the beginning of the Kohberger case, the Idaho 4. And he graduated to other things. And then once he got in school, this whole research thing that he was doing, experiment on Reddit, asking people to, contact him that have committed murders and watched people die or whatever to contact him or whatever. That might have just been the start. And then he started killing. He might have been killing before he even got to college. I don't know, maybe. It's very possible. My opinion, yeah, it's very possible. He might have killed in his hometown when he wasn't killing in Idaho 4. Idaho, if he was back home on vacation or whatever, and maybe killed around his own house, possibly went to other states close to that area, killed and went back. Yeah, it's possible. You just don't do. I mean, you would have had to know the layout. You would have had to known exactly who was in the house, because you're going in blind. You don't know if they even have a weapon. They might have been packing. He had to have done his research. He probably learned this stuff in school, being he's a criminologist or whatever he was going to school for. But you would have to know the layout of the house, how many people are going to be there, are there any weapons? Is there anybody going to be in the house that's going to give me any kind of struggle? Is this a knife job? or should I be packing a gat, with me just in case I run into something that's going to overpower me? I don't know. You know, I would suggest looking into that because it's possible he's done it before. Let's watch a little bit more of Mr. Tony Bruschi.
But it happens. And unfortunately, we need to treat behavior like he was demonstrating. We need to take it a little more seriously, or a lot more seriously, and be intolerant of it. And not just, well, that's how he is. That's how he acts. He's weird. Everybody to each their own. No. In a society, there are certain ways you have to interact with one another if you'd like to participate. If you choose not to, well, guess what? You're not part of it then. And clearly, he had difficulties participating in any and every aspect of society. We just didn't really have a very clear mechanism of what to do with them. And we still don't with people like Kohberger. Because what do you do? What do you do? You can't just go lock them up because they're weird. Look at Nick Reiner. Look at all that shit. Clear and present danger, and you couldn't get the guy locked away. Certainly, you're going to deal with Kohberger. You could fire him. You could move him around. He'd go someplace else. But we don't really have any clear mechanisms of how to deal with clear and present dangers like the Brian Kohbergers of the world, and there's many of them out there. Classmates reported a pattern of misogynistic, homophobic, and ableist comments. He allegedly asked a deaf student whether she should even procreate. He told a divorced woman she was broken. His fellow students, people who sat in class with him, worked alongside him, called him a stalker, a sexual assaulter type, a possible future rapist. Some speculated openly that he might be an incel. None of this was secret information. These weren't inside.
This whole incel thing, I never got. Serial rapist, yeah, possible. Schizophrenic madman killer, yeah, very possible. But this whole incel thing, I was like, well, what? Where they don't have sex, they, yeah, what? I don't know. I've never heard of it before. I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought they were talking about terrorists. So I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought they were talking about a terrorist. So incel. Oh shit! This is a cell, terrorist cell within the United States, but it's some kind of weird thing. But I never looked at it like that. Once I found out what it was. This was more of like I don't know, maybe he killed and it worked on his conscience and it drove him crazy. Maybe him being looked at different, always people looking at him all crazy, or the women running from him, whatever they're saying. Maybe that played psychological games on him and he went nuts. He became a killer. Maybe. Don't give him the right to do what he did, even though maybe he was, in his mind, tortured by other people, the way they didn't want to hang out with him or whatever. Maybe his eyes were real big, and that's a sign of mental illness, or you're whacked out on something, or, maybe he just walked around, maybe in a psychosis, and people looked at him and said, I don't want to be around that guy. He looks crazy. Don't know. Whatever it is, he killed 4 people. I believe he killed before that, but this might have been his first kill. And if that's the case, then he would have had to done his work. And he had to have been mentally ready to go into this house, knowing that these girls had boyfriends, knowing there possibly was weapons in the house. And if you go in, there's a chance you might not come out. Something ain't right here.
It only emerged after the murders. This was the known, documented, reported reality of Brian Kohberger on that campus in the fall of 2022. Let me walk you through the timeline because the proximity matters. In late August of 22, Kohberger arrived at WSU as a PhD student in criminology and a teaching assistant. The complaints began almost immediately. Mid-September 2022, professors are already texting each other about the need to do an intervention because of how Kohberger treats female students. In September or October 22, a faculty member tells police she believed Kohberger was actively stalking people. Around the same time, someone reportedly breaks into a female graduate student's apartment and steals perfume and underwear. The lawsuit references this incident. On November 8th of 2022, WSU holds mandatory discrimination training for Kohberger's entire doctoral cohort because of him, because of his behavior, because we can't ever just go to the person and go, it's you, you're the problem. We have to, well, everybody, so we don't embarrass anybody, we don't hurt anybody's feelings.
Well, that's one way to put it, Mr. Brutsky. That's one way to put it, I guess, sir. But he's true. You know, we've all heard it. You're not part of the clique. You know, it's not us, it's you. We heard that in, what do we hear that in? Adult relationships, men with women, right? No, it's not you, it's me. I'm going through things. yeah, I can understand what he's saying. You know, but you have to deal with it. Then you have to look at yourself and change, or just walk away from everyone and say, well, screw it. You know, screw you people, and change your life and live good. But that don't mean go out and slaughter everybody or stalk them or whatever, you know. I wouldn't doubt it if Kohberger is the guy that they had on camera with the ski mask on camera that was running around out there. I wouldn't doubt it if it wasn't. It wouldn't shock me. All right, this is almost over with, folks.
Less than 2 weeks before the murders, Kohberger is called into a meeting with faculty to address concerns about his misconduct. November 13th of 2022, Kelly Gonzalez, Madison Mogen, Zetter Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin are stabbed to death in their beds. In early December of 2022, WSU fired Kohberger from his teaching assistant position after the killings. Before his arrest, they called unsatisfactory performance and failure to meet norms of professional behavior. The firing came a little too late. That's the entire point of the lawsuit. And here's where institutional cowardice meets institutional math. Because buried in this complaint is an allegation that explains everything. The lawsuit claims Kohberger's supervising instructor expressed concern that removing him from employment could expose WSU to a lawsuit. Let that sink in. They were worried about getting sued by him, by the predator. So what do? You protect the predator. You enable the predator. To keep going on his merry way so he doesn't sue you for trying to stop him. Because everyone's afraid of their own shadow or doing the right thing anymore. So they kept a man that multiple people had identified as dangerous on their payroll, in their classrooms, in university-provided housing, with full access to students and faculty, because they were afraid of the legal exposure that might come from doing the right thing. Allegedly. They calculated the risk, and they chose wrong. They picked the wrong lawsuit to be afraid of. This wasn't some graduate student who made...
Now that's interesting, and let me tell you why this is very interesting. They were worried about getting sued, right? So they failed to get rid of him. Meanwhile, he's out terrorizing everybody because they keep bringing this stuff up to him, but yet they don't do anything about it. And then they start protecting him, and they just stop looking into things. So my question is to you folks, was the Idaho 4 victims the ones that were filing complaints about him, and somehow he got wind of it, or someone let him know, hey, these people are ratting on you and complained about you? It's not us. It's not your coworkers and stuff. It's these people. And he flips out and kills them. I don't know. You'd have to look at that. Did he get wind of it? Did he have a list of people that were giving him trouble? Were they telling him, well, this student said this student said that, this family member said this, and they have complaints against you or whatever, and he finds out and then goes there and gets rid of them? I don't know. But if he worked for them, then maybe he had access, or when people weren't looking, maybe he was looking up who was complaining against him, or if there was any complaints against him, so then he can go out there and do away with these people. Maybe. That's very interesting. To me, that's very interesting. I don't know, how did he get away with it for so long? I don't know. Maybe they were covering for him, or not covering, but knew there was a problem, but they were worried about getting sued by him. So he shows up on their campus day one, and he's already crazier than a coon. No, I do not sympathize with Renee Nicole Good. And that's what a lot of people are so upset at me about, and they had just been going crazy on me, is because I said it's her own fault. When an officer, especially an agent, federal bureau agent, that's got weapons and stuff, tell you to stop. Uh, and here's the stupid thing: they probably would have just told her to get out of there. Maybe took her license and copied it and told her to get out of there. It's obvious they weren't there looking for her because she was a white woman. And I'm going to be honest. She did it to herself. She pulled away. There was an agent in front of her, and he was defending his life. There's nothing, the evidence is right there on film. If she just would have stopped and let him do whatever, even if they apprehended her, they would only apprehended her until they were done in that area, and then they would have released her. I'm starting to agree with a lot of people. She made a stupid call. My condolences to the family and her. No little woman should lose their life over it. But laws are laws, folks. In a country without laws, you got madmen running around doing whatever they want. So the laws stand. If a police officer tells you to halt, you halt. If a government agent says halt, you don't, and he's standing in front of your vehicle, you don't floor it. You're an idiot. That's all I'm going to say on that. Now, if that guy wasn't standing in front of her and we didn't see her floor it and him hit the front of the car and up onto the hood, off to the side, then I would have said that officer was to blame. But he was only defending himself because she made a bad call. She made a bad call. And she didn't need to lose her life over it. But she did. She chose to do that. She could have stopped right there. They probably would have said, "What's your name?" And then said, "Hey, quit causing trouble and move about your way. We're here to do a job. We're not here to arrest you. Leave or we will arrest you. You're interfering with a federal thing, a federal government operation." She did it to herself, folks. All right, now let's continue with this end of this Kohberger.
People mildly uncomfortable at departmental mixers. Kohberger's PhD research focus was on sexually motivated burglars and serial killers. That was his academic specialty. A fellow PhD student told police that Kohberger enjoyed conflict, was openly disparaging towards women, and especially loved to talk about sexual burglary, his field of study. His professors knew what he was researching. They knew how he treated women. They knew he was following people to their cars. They knew about the 13 complaints. They held the intervention meeting. They mandated the training. And later, after the arrest, after the investigation, we learned what Kohberger was doing when he wasn't in class. Extensive online searches relating to home invasions, serial killers, paranoia, pornography involving excessively non-consensual sex acts, repeated late-night drives past the victims' homes on King Road.
Wow. Hello, Miss Debbie Fox. Oh, I let him speak his thing, but I timed him out. Oh, wait. So you timed him out for. Oh, you timed him out. Good. Good. I don't know. They were going on about good. Renee Good. But listen to what we're finding out now. Listen to what Mr. Tony Bruschi's saying about Kohberger, huh? Which we didn't know about it. Right? This wasn't, no, he was just a good kid. Everywhere we went and said, we think he's a serial killer. Everyone was like, "You're crazy. You're crazy, Johnny. I think he's killed before." Nah, you don't know what you're talking. You're an idiot. Yes. Yes, I am. But I think this idiot that we're watching, Mr. Kohberger, has killed. Not no movie shit, real life shit. Oh, no, it's all right, Debbie. I just caught him out of the corner of my eye. He just came in, and then I seen you. Looks like you timed him out. That's all right. All right, this is almost over. Well, let's get this over.
Months before he killed them. The pattern was there. The red flags weren't just waving. They were on fire. The lawsuit was filed January 8th, 2026. In Skagit County Superior Court, all four families are named as plaintiffs. Steve Gonzalez, I don't know why I can't say Gonzalez this morning. Karen Lemire, Jeffrey Kernodle, Stacy Chapin, four families who buried their children. Four families who watched a man plead guilty and get sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms.
Debbie says it's Vincent or Bendejo, or it's one of them. I don't know, these crazy stalkers. I'm going to have to up my security, which consists of only me. Debbie, I need to up my security. I'm the only one I got. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's pretty crazy though, Deb, how all this is coming out now. And everyone said he was innocent. And what did we say on this channel? He's guilty, and he could be wanted for other crimes in the United States. We got to wait and see what the computer says. And would they tell us this stuff he's killed 50 people? You know, he's been all over the United States. Would they tell us? I would rather them come out and say, we got it wrong. All right, you got it wrong. How bad is it? He slaughtered all kinds of people. All right. All right. Do better next time. You know, but don't cover it up. No, there's no way. He's not a serial killer. These are the only crimes he committed. And that's not true. He was committing crimes before the murders. I don't know. They have his bloody footprint. Yeah. Well, they got a lot probably that we never knew about. He looked like Ted Bundy or whoever that Ted Zielinski or whatever his name was. He looks like look at him. He's got that look like he's possessed or something. I don't know. Well, no, nothing is 100%, Debbie. Debbie Fox said, "Do we know that for sure?" No, nothing's for sure. Well, Mr. Brutsky, I can tell you, I don't know either. But I can tell you this much. If they had that much trouble with him, why didn't they report him and then tell him? You know, or get a hold of the psychologist in the college and say, can you talk to this guy for us? You know, and kind of read it out. Psychologists would have looked at him and said, maybe, oh, he's on his way to be number one serial killer in America. He's a nut job. This guy shouldn't be working for you. No, we don't know. You know, today everybody is crazy. You know, to the higher powers, we're all nuts. You know, my opinion is, yeah, I think he's committed a whole bunch of crimes before he even got to college. And once he got into college, I think he continued to act like a nut job. And he might have became friends with other nut jobs. And well, he might have done stuff out there. He might have been the guy running around in the ski mask out there. That's true. He might have been the one that an hour away from there, from his house, there was another murder or robbery at night. And they also were stabbed, or there was a weapon or something used, they said. And there was things taken from the murder scene. Maybe that was him. Actually, there was 3 murders out there in that area. Very well could have been him. Miss Fox said, with no proof, we can't say that. Well, we can. We can give our speculations, our theories. You know, a lot of people think he's done it before, and he might be the person they're looking for in that other state out there. Maybe everywhere he went. You know, I watched a channel a while back that was saying it seems like wherever Kohberger went, there was a dead body that popped up after he left, or he was seen in that area and they didn't put 2 and 2 together. And there's a lot of people that said every time that there was a murder, that he would go to a car wash. He would be seen at a car wash washing his car, whether it be the inside. People said they would see him with rubber gloves on, cleaning the inside of his car. And well, maybe they just didn't connect the dots. Maybe they were so upset that they just didn't put the dots together, and they fumbled the ball. Maybe. But you're right. He's proven innocent until proven guilty. From what Miss Fox is saying, I agree. Maybe he washed his car once a week. Maybe, but was there a body next to it? Was there a woman's body next to him in areas real close to where he was washing his car? The one place he washed the car, and the body was real close. There was a missing girl or something out there, a woman. I wash my car once a week in Florida. You know, I used to wash my car once a week too, Debbie, all the time. The inside, not so much. I'd give it a wipe down, but once a week, I like to wash my car. Sometimes 2 weeks, depending on the weather. If it's raining a lot, uh, then once a week. But if it ain't raining and I wash it, sometimes I let it go longer until we get rain, and then I wash it. Because I also wax my car. Well, I used to. I'm getting older now. I haven't. Did I? I think I did wax it. I wet waxed it real fast last year, by hand. But other than that, you know, now with all the garage sales I've been doing and thrift stores, got a crap hauling in my car. I mean, where are all the unsolved murders? They haven't been solved yet. Maybe they can't connect the dots to these other murders in that area. Well, I don't know what their names are, Debbie. I was watching a video on it. They didn't mention the names. They just mentioned that everywhere he went, it seemed like, that he was within miles of a dead body. Or after he left that area, there would be a dead body that popped up. So I don't know. Is it possible? It's possible. You know, is it people just overact? Yeah, it could be that. But, if you're talking he's a serial killer, well, you might have many bodies. You know, who knows? We don't know. But how do they know that? Well, they connect the dots or something. Maybe there's something at one of these crimes. Maybe this one Idaho 4 was his downfall, meaning he was wearing gloves, latex gloves every time he did it, or gloves. He was using a knife, uh, which is harder to track, and maybe he was just getting away with it. And Idaho 4 was his downfall, where he got caught. Maybe, I don't know. Let me see what Miss Fox is saying. Were they following him? Did they follow him around before the killing? I think they might have been. I think they had calls on other stuff before the murders. And it's possible the college got a hold of the police. Well, this guy's stalking. One of the girls and their parents came and made a report. And maybe they were watching them. Maybe it just ended up a one-time contact. Leave the girls alone. Go about your way, and they forgot about it. We don't know. No, we can't say it without proof, but it's possible. There's people saying that, and I agree with them. It's possible. Can we prove it? Well, no one's proved it yet. Maybe one day here we'll find out. I mean, we can't say that he is the killer on this channel, but I can't say it's not possible. It's very possible. I believe he's killed before. My own opinion. I think he killed before. I just don't understand how he had to be in the frame of mind where he was going in and coming out no matter who got in his way. You don't know how many people are in the house. You don't know how big these guys, all their boyfriends could have been there. You could have had 4 dudes. You would have had to have taken on, by yourself. You'd have to be a nut job or packed to the hilt to go in there and do it. There goes Debbie Fox with her Sonopacala eyes. I know what you're saying. He's got crazy eyes. There she goes with that. Yeah, she sent me something about killers and their eyes, and I was checking it out one night. She's like, "This is how we know. Look at him. He's got Snakabakaluka eyes." I'm like, But yeah, that's what I looked at when I seen him. His eyes and everything. He's crazy or something very evil behind them eyes. Well, another great video. Oh, hey, Debbie, I wanted to show you. I was over at the Great Defense Diaries channel, Bob Mata's, and he put my question up on the screen. They were over there going through the divorce records of the Dr. Spencer case, the Tippy case. I'm going to show that. I'm going to go on replay, and I'm going to do a live, and I'm going to show you where he pulls up my question and puts it on panel. Oh, it was unbelievable. It was a great day. It was like winning the Super Bowl almost. It was like winning the Super Bowl. All right, now, such an easy divorce they had. Well, I don't know. Motto was talking. Maybe it wasn't as easy as it appeared, but maybe it was. From the documentation, they're saying it was pretty easy. All right, let's see if there's anything more left on this, Mr. Brutsky. Now, Mr. Brutsky brings up a good point. And that point is he's asking, can we predict this stuff? Well, I don't know. I don't think so. How can you? I don't know. There might be a couple government agents out there, ESP and other stuff. They try and predict stuff or whatever. But I'm not sure about that. Could you get a ballpark range that this is a troubling person? Yes. But predicting, I don't know. There's movies about it called The Final Destination, Mr. Brutsky, where the guy figures out the pattern of the death and he avoids it. Right? He figures it out. It's a pattern. Maybe there's Scientology guys or whatever they call them, scientists or whatever, that can look at his past and say, oh, okay, stalking here, then violence here, then stalking here, crazy here. Oh, he's going to do something bad coming up. He's definitely going to kill. Maybe. There's some of these scientists out there, or psychological people out there, they call them psychiatrists or whatever, uh, that sometimes can predict, well, he's unstable, and I think he's going to kill somebody. Maybe. But do we ever listen to them? I don't know. Themselves had another of the oh, no kids priors together. No, they didn't have any. They didn't have any, Debbie, in the kept TP case or whatever. Are you telling me on campus where they worked that they had a system for these women? The people that went there had a system just for this guy if he showed up or any. This is crazy. And nothing was done. How come average guys like us would have already been locked up 50 times for just saying something wrong to somebody? This guy's stalking people. He was following girls back to their cars and stuff. Now either this guy was a protector of these women and this happened and they all turned on him. But actually, these women are saying, excuse me, these women are saying that he walked them to their cars and stuff. What? He would follow them to the cars and stuff. Was he a good guy or a bad guy? I mean, if he's a bad guy, he's stalking women to their cars, and they're complaining about it, and the school don't do anything. So these women come up with their own system to protect themselves from them. This is crazy. Yes, I'm okay. I burped. All right. This is almost over with. All right, that's the end of that. A great video, Mr. Brutsky. I posted it in my chat and in my description. Yo, this is silent. It's showing my movie or my meters are working, Debbie. Maybe you don't have your earplugs in, woman. All right, we are going to end this. I will be back with more content after a while. Well, here shortly. I need to take a shower. Can you hear me, Debbie? How big is is it true what they're saying? How big are you? You can't hear me? Okay. You can't hear or see. All right. Oh, not that video. Okay. All right. We're going to end this video. I'll be back. I got to jump in the shower and then we will be going live again. I think Miss Fox wants to talk about the Spencer TP and Monique TP murder case. She claims that it's possible they were seeing each other still and he was in love with her behind closed doors or whatever. She might be right. She might be right. But we will be back with more content on the Johnny Kramer Music Movie Channel. He was jilted love. Didn't they write a song about that? Jilted love. Whoa. Jilted love. Once I ran to you. Now I run from you. Oh, jilted love. I think there was a song about that. But we will be back here shortly. I think Miss Fox wants to talk about other cases. No, I keep telling her, why don't we talk about love? No, I want to talk about cases. Well, you care about his YouTube cases. Nah, well, let's end this, and I'll be back with another. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.